Sponsored by Bangkok Bank, the Sukhothai Residences, SIPA New Decade Innovation, and Magnolia's Ratcharamri Boulevard.
Good morning, ASEAN. Freshen up your world, your thought, and your idea with us every weekday from 7:30 to 8 a.m. You're with me, Patsurang Desha Putharangsi.
And I'm also here with you, Nirsha Malisak Lemi. And today is Monday, the last Monday of the month, 30th of September 2013.
Let's go on update on the situation of the flood in eastern Thailand in the PRACHIN BURI, which seems to be the hardest hit. Well, it was the focus of attention yesterday amid forecasts of more rain on the way and fears that local industrial estates could be submerged. The eastern province has been the hardest hit as it holds water running south from Nakhon Ratchasima, which is receiving runoff from Khao Yai National Park. Areas facing the biggest flood threat include the large industrial estate 304, where 20 factories are already flooded. And Prachin district is already inundated with a flood 1 to 2 meters deep. The flood threat at PRACHIN BURI's industrial areas prompted a visit yesterday by Prime Minister Yingluck Shinawatra and Banhan Silpa Acha, de facto and chief advisor of the Chat Thai Patana Party, which is MP seats in this province. Well, they inspected many areas, met with flood victims, and handed relief supplies to them. A large number of villagers in 2 sub-districts or tambons in Prachin closed the road in protest at the authorities' alleged lack of care. PRACHIN BURI has faced flooding since September 19th, with both urban and rural areas under a high level of water, some of which is now stagnant. The flood situation remains grim, with incoming typhoon Nuwutip threatening to bring heavy rain to northeast and lower north, which have already been hit hard and many areas underwater. The weather forecast issued yesterday said Nuwutip was expected to reach Hue in central Vietnam by today or tomorrow, and later slow down when reaching the Thai northeast. Meanwhile, a monsoon nearing the southwest is also expected to bring heavy rain to coastal provinces near the Andaman Sea, and high seas are likely in the Gulf of Thailand. Yingluck, as defense minister, also had instructed military units to help flood victims in their vicinity. She also told Public Health Ministry to give counseling to flood victims for their mental well-being, as well as treatment and medicine. Banhan told reporters he had volunteered to Yingluck to take care of the situation in PRACHIN BURI on a regular basis if she's busy. He said the province had been hit by a record volume of water, the highest over a 30-year period, plus an influx from neighboring Sakeo. In a flood damage update yesterday, there have been 19 people killed in flood-related accidents or drowning, while some 27 provinces have areas underwater. Floods have affected 783,000 households in 224 districts, with more than 2.7 million people. The situation was better in 5 provinces: Prachuap Khiri Khan, Chumphon, Kanchanaburi, Kalasin, and Nakhon Ratchasima. Well, both Yingluck and Banhan also visited Kabin Buri, where the flood water level remains high. In a report by provincial governor Chitra Promchutima, they were told there were 2 people drowned, 11,765 households were affected, 94,601 rai of farmland, 605 fish ponds, and 311 roads were flooded or damaged. Some 77,000 heads of cattle had also died.
Well, let's continue with the flood situation, but this time is in Cambodia, as according to Cambodia disaster control official yesterday, Cambodia floods has killed at least 28 people, including 16 children, and affected 73,600 families in Cambodia in the last 2 weeks. Kia Wee, chief of the cabinet of the National Committee for Disaster Management, or NCDM, say that some 7,900 families have been forced to flee their houses for higher grounds, as more than 62,000 houses and 385 schools and 245 Buddhist pagodas are inundated. 10 of the kingdom's 24 cities and provinces are being hit by the Mekong River and flash floods. He said that as waters still continue to rise, there will be more people affected and evacuated in coming days. He said tourism city Siem Reap Angkor is also being hit by flash floods due to heavy rainfall in the last 2 days, but floodwaters may not last for a long time. And last week, Prime Minister Hun Sen on Friday ordered authorities to closely monitor flood situation and prepare to evacuate affected people to safe grounds. He said the impacts of low-pressure system and tropical storm Wu Tip has been causing heavy rainfall in the Mekong River basins and in Cambodia. He said in a directive that the government would like to advise concerned ministries and authorities to be on high alert and prepare rescue measures to evacuate people to safe grounds so that facilities and property damage by floods will be reduced. However, according to the NCDM, floods usually hit Cambodia between August and October, and in 2011, the country was hit by the worst from floods, killing up to 250 people. And last year, floods killed only 14 people.
Official daily New Light of Myanmar reported on Saturday that Myanmar and Vietnam will cooperate on visa exemption for the ordinary passport holders to, of course, strengthen the existing cordial relations between the two nations. The report said that an agreement on visa exemption for ordinary passport holders between the two nations was signed between Myanmar Foreign Minister Uwanamong Nguyen and Vietnamese Foreign Minister Pham Binh Minh in New York on Friday. The move between the two nations desired to simplify the procedures and facilitate the traveling of citizens of the two countries. Meanwhile, Myanmar will open all border gates to international visitors for entry and exit soon, as the next phase after 4 gates on Myanmar-Thai border were still done recently. Foreign visitors holding a valid passport and visa will be allowed to enter and exit Myanmar through the Muse Gate at the Yangon, Mandalay, and Naypyidaw international airports. Myanmar grants different categories of visa, namely entry visa, diplomatic visa, gratis official courtesy visa, tourist visa, business visa, transit visa, and multiple journeys special re-entry visa.
And according to a media reported yesterday that Thai firms from Thailand and also China are studying the feasibility of wind power in Myanmar, where 70% of the population has no access to electricity. Ong Myo-vin, Assistant Director of the Ministry of Electric Power, told the New Light of Myanmar that the Ganku Engineering Public Company Limited of Thailand and China 3 Georges company agreed to study wind power generations in separate parts of the country. He said that Ganku Engineering will conduct feasibility studies for the construction of windmills in the Tanintai region and the Mon, Kayinat Shan states, with a target of producing 2,930 megawatts of electricity. Meanwhile, China 3 Georges will do similar studies in the Shin and Rakhine states and the Irrawaddy and Yangon regions, aiming to produce 1,102 megawatts. He added that feasibility studies are underway for developing commercial wind power that will push ahead with the business if wind power is found to be economically feasible. Myanmar, under economic sanctions by Western nations during the junta's rule of 1988 to 2010, has carried out political and economic reforms in the past 2 years under the elected President Thein Sein. And most Western sanctions were dropped last year, but foreign firms claim that a major disincentive for investment in the newly opened economy is the lack of the electricity.
Thailand's Commerce Ministry hopes exports will grow by 5 or perhaps as much as 9% after the break. Thailand's Commerce Ministry hopes that the exports will grow by 5% or perhaps as much as 9%, while expectations for this year have been toned down because of the global economic slowdown. Meanwhile, private exporters from each sector have urged the government to draw up plans for promotion of exports next year, which said it was too late for this year. Valop Wittanakon, vice chairman of the Federation of Thai Industries, or FTI, said importers had already made their orders for the final quarter through the year-end festive season. The government should now work closely with private enterprises to voice their concerns and strategies to boost exports in 2014. Valop expects that shipments this year will grow by only 2 to 3% over 2012 figures, but next year should be better if the government and private enterprise work together. However, he said Thailand would in the future not enjoy the export growth it has seen in the past, as many Thai and foreign enterprises would invest more in other countries, especially around the ASEAN region. Export figures would grow more in neighboring countries because they still have cheap labor and benefit from the generalized system of preferences developed nations employ to help low-income countries. Low-paying industries that have moved to other ASEAN countries such as Cambodia, Laos, Myanmar, and Vietnam are garments, footwear, rice, and food processing. The Commerce Ministry has cut 2013 export growth forecast for most of the markets. Exceptions are Japan and South Korea, for which targets are maintained at 5%. South Asia at 5%, the Middle East at 5%, and Australia at 20%. The growth target for shipments to the European Union had already been maintained at 5%, as there were signs of economic recovery in that market. The forecast for North America, however, has been cut to 2% from 5%. The ministry's forecast for growth in exports to Africa was increased from 5 to 7%, but the outlook for Russia and the Commonwealth of Independent States, or CIS, was lowered from 12 to 10%.
And according to Executive Director of Singapore United Overseas Bank in Vietnam, say that many Vietnamese small enterprises are now ready to expand business in Asian countries. Chung Tien Tat was quoted by Singapore's daily The Business Times as saying that companies operating in the fields of manufacturing, trading and oil and gas are leading in expanding the presence of Vietnamese firms in Asian markets. He said that UOB has set up a foreign direct investment advisory department to provide support to Vietnamese businesses seeking to expand operations in Asia. UOB statistics show that trade flow between Vietnam and other Asian markets through UOB jumped 20% from the second half of 2012 to the first half of this year. The two-way trade between Vietnam and Asian countries also soared by 46.7% from 2010 to 2012, reaching $150.4 billion. According to Edlin Khoo, director of Singapore's International Enterprise Development Center in Ho Chi Minh City, the foundation of the UOB FDI Advisory Department would help to promote trades and businesses between the two sides. The UOB has opened 7 FDI advisory departments in Asian countries and territories, including Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand, China, Indonesia, Hong Kong, and Vietnam. 2 other FDI advisory departments were going to be set up in Myanmar at the end of this year and in India in the first half of next year.
This could be your unique opportunity in the investment, as you could invest in the coastal ecosystems. Let's see this in a special report, Mangroves for the Future.
As each country in the world are pushing for economic growth, it is also important that the growth does not hamper the environment. The collaboration between the private sector and the environmental group might be the key. While industry in Southeast Asia are expanding, the environmental issue become concern for the development.
Very many environmental concerns across the region. I mean, everything from destruction of forests, water pollution, air pollution, illegal wildlife trade. But the one we're really focusing on here is in the coastal area and the destruction of mangroves that's happened in the past, particularly in the 1970s and the 1980s. There was a lot of cutting down of mangrove forest, firstly for production of charcoal, and secondly then for conversion into shrimp farms.
In order to respond to environmental issues, some industry in Thailand work with environment conservation groups. Marriott International, a hotel chain in Thailand, decided to join the hands with International Union for Conservation of Nature, or IUCN, for community-based environment conservation and development in Thailand.
So as part of all of our hotels globally, we get very involved in a variety of activities that we call our Spirit to Serve. This venture is particularly meaningful because it combines a lot of our strategies, and that is providing opportunity for the local communities and providing employment opportunities for people, and focused on the environment and sustainable development.
This project aims to protect environment and support Thailand's local communities through mangrove restoration and the use of sustainable seafood source and local produce practices.
In terms, it will do three main things. One is it will help to raise money from the Marriott hotels to support local communities in the coastal area to either plant or replant mangroves or take better care of the mangroves that they already have. The second thing it will do will help support the creation of new small businesses in the local communities, producing different gifts and souvenirs that can be sold in the Marriott hotels. And the third thing it will do will encourage more sustainable fisheries, particularly local small-scale fisheries for crabs, prawn and some species of fish that the Marriott can then use in their restaurants. And we really see that as, you know, a win-win-win example for the customers who really want to have organic or sustainably produced food. The hotel wants to supply that, and for the local communities it'll be a better business opportunity for them. They'll get a higher price for their products.
Nowadays, more and more tourists are caring about the environment. Corporate social responsibility for hotels are needed.
It's very important for us to make sure that we protect the environment. Obviously, the beauty of Thailand is a big part of the tourism industry in Thailand. And for us to be successful and for customers to want to come to Thailand, they want to make sure that that heritage and that environment is protected. So us doing our part to preserve that not only is good for Thailand, it's good for the industry, and then of course it would be good for our business as well.
Planting mangroves does not only restore the environment and conserve biodiversity, but it also plays a critical role in protecting the coastline from a severe storm and sea level rise, as well as store carbons. Majan Polidet reports.
That's it for today's edition of Good Morning ASEAN. We'll see you again same time, same place, same channel.
Thank you so much for watching. I'm Nirasha Balisak Lamia.
And I'm Patsurang Desha Putarang Si. สวัสดีค่ะ
สวัสดีค่ะ